Good evening, I am Tanisha LaVerne Grant, reporting live from the red carpet at Radio City Music Hall here in New York City for the 73rd Annual Tony Awards. And taking center stage tonight is two of my favorite productions, Choir Boy and The Temptations, Ain't Too Proud, which has 12 Tony nominations. It is also going to be an historic night if Camille A. Brown takes home the Tony Award for Best Choreography for her amazing work in Choir Boy. If Camille A. Brown wins the Tony Award tonight, super duper historic. She will be the first African American woman to win a Tony Award in this category. Stay tuned for the Tony Awards on CBS, 8 o'clock p.m. This is an amazing Tony Awards red carpet. I am just filled with so much excitement to interview this wonderful human being right here, Camille A. Brown, who's nominated tonight for a Tony Award for Best Choreography. If you win, it's a historical moment. She will be the first African-American woman to win a Tony Award in this category. We're still out here making first.
Still out here making first.
Talk to me a little bit about that, though, and what that means to you and your legacy.
It means that I get to thank the women that come before me and lift up the people that are next to me and hopefully be a reflection to younger black girls that want to choreograph.
And we definitely need that. Talk to me a little bit about your earlier years, your primary care years, and, what did you see on the television screen or in a Broadway show that just gave you that, oh my God, like Mom and Dad, y'all got to figure out a way to get me to do this job.
Right. I mean, it's the combination of music, art, history, love, storytelling. I love storytelling, and the fact that everything comes together inside of theater is something that's a dream. And I was always a very shy child. I have a small voice, as you can tell. My voice was even smaller about 20 years ago, so I was very insecure about speaking. So when I did look at the television, it was an opportunity for me to share my voice and possibly have tap into a power that I may otherwise not have been able to use.
Wow, what was the first live show you saw?
First live show. I think Hansel and Gretel at the Met.
Hansel and Gretel. My parents took me to see Babes in Toyland.
Oh, I
you remember Babes in Toyland?
Yes.
Yeah, me and my sister, we were going off. Babes in
Toyland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, people don't understand the significance and the power that film, music, culture, that all of it has. Talk to me a little bit about how we could just really inspire, young people to stay in the arts and get those, those key decision makers to keep the arts in public schools.
Yes, I mean, the storytelling. I came from LaGuardia High School, which is a public school, but it's also a specialized school.
Wait, I saw that, not to cut you off, but I saw on Facebook was going crazy.
What was Facebook doing?
They were so excited. People were like, oh my gosh, she went to LaGuardia. I went there too.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it was an opportunity for us every day to dig into what we loved as kids. So what does that mean? It means that the world can be wonderful for all of us. We are all things. We are dimensional. And it's an opportunity for us to tap into all of our powers, not just one that we maybe feel like we have to assimilate into, but something that we can choose for our own.
Right. We've had some amazing people come before us. Josephine Baker is an icon. Katherine Dunham, icon. If those two ladies were standing across from you right now, what would you like to say to them?
I would thank them. There are always struggles. There will always be, but they went through a lot for all of us, and they moved. What did they say? They moved it just even further. So I still have to work as hard, but from exhaustion, they are the reason why I'm here.
Wow.
So I want to thank them for their exhaustion and their strength and their power and their resilience, because without them, I would not be able to see a reflection of who I could possibly be.
That is absolutely powerful. I have one last question for you. Have you ever sat in the theater after the show has finished and the lights have gone down and it's just you and that moment that you helped create?
I have. And
what was that like?
Well, I do it a lot, so it kind of, sometimes I'm crying, I mean, it's just so moving. I never would have thought, because like I said, you said Josephine Baker and Katherine Dunham. When I wanted to be a choreographer, the reflections of black women were so few and far between. So to sit in the theater and to be nominated today, knowing that it has been 23 years since a black woman has been nominated in this category, Marlise Yerby. I don't know if I have been able to eloquently put the words together for how that feels.
Yeah.
But I think that it is important for me to honor the people that come before me, and the best way we do that is to be our true, authentic selves.
There we go, ladies. Thank you so much. Camille A. Brown nominated this evening for a Tony Award for Best Choreography for Choir Boy. When you win, because I'm claiming she's going to win, she will be the first African-American woman to win in that category. Congratulations. I'm speechless right now. You guys know I rarely talk about what are you wearing, who are you wearing, but my God.
Thank you.
Look at this beauty right here. One of my absolute favorite all-time Broadway actresses. I'll never forget how I felt like I was floating in The Color Purple, sitting in that audience. You really brought everybody to tears. Talk to me a little bit about what diversity and inclusion means to you today. We're celebrating Pride. It's the 73rd Annual Tony Awards, and we're still having first. We're still having first, with Camille A. Brown being nominated for Best Choreography. If she wins, making history as a first.
It's really incredible. Like, I don't know how she does what she does, but she's one of my favorites. She just is. She's incredible. And like a lovely woman, just lovely.
Wow.
Gorgeous. Just, she's one of the most talented choreographers I've ever met. Brilliant.
So what does it mean to you when you see women who look like us in the space, as we celebrate Pride today, see people of different backgrounds in the space? The diversity and inclusion piece is a really big deal. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, to me, it means everything, because I don't believe that we can have a truly interesting or fun or learned time if we don't have people who aren't like ourselves, if we don't have a mix of different types of people. And to see women that look like us in this space taking up some room is just, for me, electric. It means I can look over my shoulder and go, oh, I know that person. Oh, I know her. It feels like seeing like family with you, and it feels like we get to be in the room now, and that's really important, because no one can tell our stories like we can, And so the only way in order to tell those stories authentically is if we get to be at the table telling them as well. Yeah. So we just need more. That's all.
In the room in a very big way. I have to go back to The Color Purple, because that was just so phenomenal and so well done. And I always wanted to ask you, because I didn't get a chance to do press on that. I don't know where I was, but what resonated with you when you got the call that you were going to be a part of this iconic Broadway production?
Well, so I did the show first in London, and then they decided that they wanted to take it to Broadway, and I thought they were joking, because I didn't know that was even a possibility. And so when I realized that was what we were doing, I think I fell over a little bit. I switched my phone off that day because I didn't know how to respond. I had to process the whole thing, because it was a massive, massive dream coming true. And I thought just being a part of it was a dream. I wanted to tell the story. I don't know why. It was in my gut. It was like in my heart, and I wanted to be a part of it. And to be able to do that on stage was just like, nothing I could ever have imagined. And for it to have gone the way it did, completely unexpected. And more than
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much. Continue blessings. Thank you. Thank you. You're an icon and a legend.
So I've been told.
Yeah. I mean, your story being told on Broadway. Nominated for 12 Tony Awards.
Right. It's a wonderful event, because, like I was saying earlier, it's one thing to be known for the music that we've made, but it's a double shot when people say, oh, this but your story. I said, I find that very complimentary, because it's not just based on the music, it's based on the story, and I'm loving it.
Wow. When you went the first night and saw it come alive, what was that moment like for you?
So surreal that I sat there and cried.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm in tears, and I was trying to man up. You know, we men got the.
No, you know what? It takes a man to cry, honestly, in
what?
my personal opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what one of the players said. A cast member told me when I first saw it here in New York about a year and a half ago. And the cast gathered around me, and I said, you know, you all have moved me to tears. And one guy said, you know, men cry too. I said, you're right. He said, well, Mr. Williams, if you're crying already and we just started rehearsing, that's a sign that it's going to be a hit. That was a year and a half ago. Look where we are today.
Yeah, and the Apollo the other day.
Yeah, I've been put in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame at the Apollo. First time ever going there and seeing my name, Apollo salutes, Otis Williams. So wonderful.
Otis Williams, The Last Temptation.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Standing here enjoying.
Well, you know what? Live it up. We're so proud of you. Your music spans decades, spans generations. Thank you so much for your gift, sir.
Thank you.
Take care. You guys, I'm feeling like the queen of the night right now because I'm with the man of the hour, Derek Baskins, nominated. Oh my God. I mean, best performance by an actor in this amazing play about the life of the Temptations. Ain't Too Proud, the life of the Temptations.
It's you know, it's just a blessing to experience this evening. I'm having just the time of my life. You know, I get to play this guy who's still living. He's actually right next to me, and you know, to be able to sing this music, to tell this story, you know, it's just such a blessing to do every night. It really is.
I'm sorry. I just overheard something. Wow, you know what, guys? It all goes down on the red carpet.
Yes.
You know, talk to me a little bit about the importance of diversity and inclusion and what that means to you in this culture that we're in right now, where everything is just so feeling like the clock is ticking backwards instead of forward.
You know, well, I will say from my personal experience, I like to see myself on stage. You know, those are the stories that I gravitate toward. Those are the stories that I relate to. And what we're doing is telling this beautiful black story so that other young black artists can be inspired, but so that they can say to themselves, I can also be a lead in a musical. Because these opportunities to lead in a musical, they're far and few between for black actors and actors of color in general. Still, absolutely. And so, you know, I feel completely honored to tell this story so that another young black man can say, I can be that as well. That's what we're doing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell me something you learned from your character, something that kind of shocked you. You know, there's always this coming undone that you have to do when you're preparing for a role.
Yeah.
You know, talk to me a little bit about some of those tender moments of your character that you were like, oh, wow.
You know, it's so eerie, but we're very similar in our temperaments, and we really are. And so, like, I can understand kind of some of the hard decisions that he had to make the group continue to be great, you know, and to have to let go of some of the people who were near and dear to him. I kind of understood that, and kind of shocked me that I understood it, because, you know, this man is an icon, you know, and you don't realize that he's actually also just a human being. And so to actually humanize this mountain of a man, you know, it was shocking that we share some of the same sensibilities.
I love that. I mean, I'm just still on cloud 9, 12 nominations.
I mean, I couldn't ask for anything more. You know, 12 nominations. That's crazy. Yeah, for sure.
Talk to me really quickly, like, where were you when you got the call that you were even going to be a part of this production?
Where was I? I was at home. I was working on another project that I wasn't really happy with. And so I got the call and I was like, thank God. Like, you know what I mean? I got a call from my agent, and he was like, "You got the part, man." And I couldn't believe it. I was probably at home on my couch.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Likewise. Lean, I have the legendary B.B. Winans.
Thank you.
I came of age on your music. I hear you have a Broadway production that's coming.
Yes, born for this. We are knocking at Broadway's door probably the end of this year. So I have a couple of friends whose shows are nominated this year that we walked our journey together. And so I looked at one of them and I said, how does it feel? And he says, I'm very nervous, and you will be next year as well. But I'm nervous just presenting, you know?
And you're presenting for Choir Boy.
I'm presenting for Choir Boy. Very excited.
You know, in this spirit that we're in of trying to usher in more diversity, more inclusion. Tonight with Choir Boy, we're still having a first with Camille A. Brown. If she wins tonight, will be the first African-American woman to win in this category for Best Choreography for Choir Boy. Talk to me a little bit about what diversity means to you in this culture and how important it is to continue to keep fighting for it.
I think it's important. Sometimes we hear it's the first. But to me, there's nothing wrong with the first, because the first opens the door for the second, the third, the fifth, all those opportunities. To me, the diversity has opened up the door. These people, Camille, they've opened up the door for others to come through. And that's our history. And you know what? We come through with something to say. We come through with heart. We come through with compassion. And to me, that's what takes us even farther. So I'm excited about the diversity that is happening in Broadway. But you know what? It's never too late. It's never too late.
I love that. Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
Continued blessings and
pleasure,
success to you.
girl.
Thank you. This wonderful book, The Life About the Temptations, Ain't Too Proud, on Broadway. Like, this is a big moment.
Yeah, you know, I'm thrilled to be here. I feel like I'm carrying my city with me tonight. So I know Detroit is watching in a lot of ways, and I'm just happy to be able to have ushered a story about us, a true story about our home group to Broadway. It's exciting.
It's amazing. I love Detroiters. There's a fellow actress of yours, Angela Lewis,
That's right.
who plays on Snowfall, who's also from Detroit.
That's right. Angie
Love
and
her,
I,
yeah.
we grew up together. And
Are
we
you
went to school
serious?
together. Absolutely.
Angela, you watching this? I'm going to send you this clip just because I'm mentioning your name with your fellow Detroiter.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
you guys are both killing it. You're nominated for a Tony.
That's right. Yeah, it's exciting. You know, I feel like that's just a level of visibility that helps me tell the stories I'm trying to tell on a broader stage, and I look forward to that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Girl, that's all I got, because I'm just so excited right now.
Thank
It is
you.
our time. The Divine Feminine is here.
That's right.
Broadway, diversity, inclusion.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for talking to me.
You have been behind some of my favorite productions on Broadway. I mean, Eclipse, Once on This Island. Talk to me a little bit about what you're feeling tonight to be nominated.
I feel so proud, you know, to be nominated for Torch Song, a play that means so much to queer people, celebrating, walking the red carpet on Pride Month at the 50th anniversary of Stonewall.
Isn't it crazy?
It's just like all of the stars aligning, you know, and so...
That's why I'm like, I gotta wear something fantastical, you know?
Yeah, and just celebrating the rainbow and being proud, looking at where we've come from and looking at how far we've come and looking at the struggle ahead, because you know the struggle ain't done.
No, it isn't.
No.
You know, I love to talk about how important it is for young people to understand the hard work that goes into this moment. Talk a little bit about the importance of education and just, you know, dotting your I's, crossing your T's, doing the work, getting in workshops. If you can't get to a university, attend a class, figure it out.
That's right. I mean, especially for young artists of color, it's really important to know that, you know, persistence and diligence comes a long way. But on top of that, you find your community, go where the love is, you know, work hard and find your home, and everything will just fall into place. You know, that sort of adage that we need to work twice as hard is not only true, it's required. You know, and then I think we just need to make sure that you know, we hold our head up high and just work very hard. You know. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're amazing. You look beautiful. All right. I know myself. So, Mr. Carlisle, you're a veteran in this game, pretty much. Talk to me a little bit about what it means to be a part of such wonderful Broadway shows, productions, and the work that goes into that. People don't understand some of the misnomers.
Yeah, I mean, this is my whole life. This is my whole life. This is 365 days of the year. This is what I do. I try to tell beautiful stories with beautiful people in a meaningful way.
I just mentioned to him one of my favorite plays that he was behind was After Midnight.
That's right, and that was they were my last nominations. Nominated for Best Director, nominated for Best Choreographer, and lucky enough that season to win for Best Choreographer.
That was everything. That was everything.
It was incredible to tell the story of those people those very special people without a single person bowing their heads or shuffling. You know, with none of the riots or none of the struggle in the show, just pure joy and watching every single cast member succeed.
I love that. Talk to me a little bit about your thoughts on, in the African American community, we're still having a lot of firsts. We have Camille A. Brown, who was just nominated. I mean, we're still having these firsts. Can we talk about that? Can we talk about the importance of diversity and inclusion in Broadway, on Broadway?
I mean, to me, it's very important. It's very important. I'm a diverse person myself, and I think, Finian's Rainbow is an example. 50% of that cast were African American. After Midnight is another example. 100% of that cast were African American. Kiss Me Kate has an extremely diverse cast, extremely diverse. You will see all colors on that stage tonight, and I'm very, very proud to kind of wave the flag for that.
Thank you so much. Hi, how are you doing
I'm
today?
good, how are you?
I'm amazing.
I know.
I'm amazing because you're here,
Kind of exciting.
and I know you've had a long career, and I just learned that you were part of a writer on one of my favorite shows that I grew up on.
I know.
Okay, guys.
We are living.
Yes! Single! We are.
90s kind of world.
I'm glad I got my girls living single.
It was an incredible, created by the unbelievable writer Yvette Lee Bowser.
I love Yvette Lee Bowser. I have an amazing story about Yvette Lee Bowser. I was a young ingenue when I had lots of hair in Los Angeles, looking to earn my SAG card. Yvette Lee Bowser and her husband Kyle Bowser got me my SAG card on their show called For Your Love with Holly Robinson Peete. We're connected.
We are so, this is kismet.
We're so cousins
Yvette
right
Lee
now.
Bowser is really just, she taught me and she trained me, and so much of what I then became was because people like, I stood on the shoulders of people like Yvette Lee Bowser, who was groundbreaking at that time.
Oh, absolutely.
And fearless.
One of the best to ever do it.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting to me that you're on, or were a writer on Living Single. We're on Broadway. We're still having a lot of firsts with, black people, minorities, quote unquote minorities, celebrating pride. Talk to me about the importance of diversity and inclusion in Broadway and what that means to you in your career.
Well, I think it means everything. I like to say we don't just tell the stories, we are the stories. And our nation, this is a nation built on diversity. And unless you tell those stories, change cannot happen. And I believe it starts on Broadway because we are the most open-minded and inclusive community of all the arts.
Absolutely. What was the first Broadway show you saw that just blew you out of the water when you were like, oh my God, I have to have a career in the arts?
Well, the first show I ever saw was a show called 70 Girls 70, which did Candor and Ebb. It didn't last that long, but the first show that blew me out of the water was Fiddler on the Roof, the original Fiddler on the Roof.
Wow, Fiddler, what was it about that?
Because it was, I literally have a sense memory of what it feels like to be in that theater. It was about community, it was about family, it was touching, it was funny. The book and the music worked as one. It was truly it is a consummate theatrical experience. And I was just moved to tears, and I said, this is it, this is what I want to do.
That is what you
This is
want
it.
to do. And here you are.
Here we are.
On the red carpet at the 73rd Annual
Tony Awards.
Wow. What's coming up next for you?
I've got two other musicals down the pipe and go back to LA to do a little pilot.
Oh, wow.
Can't give it away yet.
No.
But it actually is sort of based on a Broadway musical.
I like
So
that.
we'll see about that.
I love that. Thank you so much for your time and congratulations with Torch. Likewise, yes. So theater, we all love theater. When did you fall in love with theater?
I fell in love with theater growing up. My mom used to send me to the theater while she worked, and I would just roam about and watch rehearsals and run around like a crazy little kid, unattended, and I just grew up loving it.
What was the first show that you saw on Broadway that blew you out of the water? Can you remember?
This is horrible, but I can't remember.
Oh my goodness.
I've seen so many Broadway shows at this point that I can't remember what it was. It might have been Billy Elliot, maybe?
Billy Elliot, I can see that.
I think it maybe was.
I can see that.
I definitely saw that.
So this season we have a lot of amazing shows. What have you seen this year, excluding any productions that you've been a part of, that you're like, oh my God, this production is everything. This is it. My dream role was in there, and I didn't get it.
Caitlin Canoon is a very good friend of mine, and I saw her in the prom, and I was just so in love with it. I thought she did such an amazing job. And Hadestown, I haven't seen on Broadway, but I did see it downtown, and I'm a huge fan of Anais Mitchell's songs in that and the whole story. I think it's very lovely. And what else did I see? I saw Gary, and I loved that play. Obviously not a musical, if we're talking about the whole Broadway scene. I loved it. It was so funny. It was so funny, and the women in that are incredible.
You know what I love about the evolution of Broadway is it's trying to become a little more diverse, not diverse enough. Talk to me a little bit about the significance of the importance of diversity and inclusion. When you go on set, how important it is for you to see people of other walks of life, other cultures, as we celebrate Pride.
I think that that's very important. We're celebrating Pride right now, and I think that it's so important to be inclusive of all races, all genders, all nationalities, everything. It's just important because I think that the theater is a very inclusive space. If you look around here, there's so many different, quirky, wonderful people from everywhere. And I think that that's kind of what Broadway is, and that's what theater is. It's a home for people who maybe feel a little bit outcast, and I think that it's really important to be inclusive.
Tanisha LaVerne Grant, blackinamerica.com.